Unexpected hitchhiker. The June bug drifted through the asteroid belt like a speck of dust between giants. Caleb Rowe sat in the pilot's chair, one leg propped over the armrest, eyes half-lidded, sipping coffee that tasted faintly like machine oil. Not that he minded. Out here, between Mars and Jupiter, bitterness was the flavor of solitude. Any signs of platinum group metals? He muttered to his ship's aging AI. Negative, replied the computer, voice dry as regolith. However, there's an anomalous object at grid 57. Small, non-metallic, no propulsion signature. Caleb sighed. Probably more junk. Still, protocol was protocol. He leaned forward and adjusted course. Junk sometimes led to salvage, and salvage meant credits, enough to keep the June bug in the sky another month. As he approached, the object resolved on the ship's scanners, a dull gray cargo pod, maybe 2 meters long. It had no markings, no transponder, and no visible damage. It just floated, eerily still in the emptiness. Unmarked container in an asteroid belt? That's a horror movie setup, Caleb muttered. But curiosity had a grip on him now. He extended the docking arm, latched on, and brought the pod into the cargo bay. The moment the pressurization lock sealed, a soft ping echoed across his ship's systems. Life form detected. Caleb stood bolt upright. What the hell? He yanked open the pod, half expecting a bomb, a body, or worse. What he found instead made him blink. A child, or something like one. The creature was curled up in a nest of blankets and odd, glowing cushions. It had 4 limbs, large luminous eyes, and pale violet skin that shimmered faintly under the cargo lights. 2 thin antennae sprouted from its head, twitching as it blinked awake. Hello. Caleb ventured cautiously. The child sat up, eyes wide with what looked like relief. You're human. It chirped in perfect galactic common. Are you single? Caleb blinked again. What? The child stood and placed tiny hands on her hips, though one leg wobbled slightly, clearly unused to gravity. My mom is really kind, she said matter-of-factly. You have to marry her. Caleb opened his mouth, closed it, rubbed his eyes. What is happening? I'm Pixel Tri, daughter of Erlani, she declared, as if that clarified everything. I was trying to get to Human Trade Hub 9, but the pirates came. They took everyone. I hid. I sent out a distress ping. And now you're here. So, she pointed at him, you're the one. The one. To marry your mother? Yes. Caleb stared at a complete loss. Okay, slow down, Pixel. First, are you hurt? She shook her head. Tired. Scared. But I'm fine now. You're nice. Your voice is deep. My mom will like you. He rubbed his temples. Let's skip the marriage proposal for a minute and get you something to eat. 10 minutes later, Pixel was seated in the galley, devouring a nutrient bar like it was a delicacy. Her legs dangled over the edge of the seat, antennae twitching rhythmically as she chewed. Caleb watched her, unsure whether he'd lost his mind or stepped into a surreal diplomatic trap. Your mom, he said slowly. Where is she now? Home. Planet Lurakesh. She's a diplomat. Super wise. She'll be grateful you saved me. Pixel beamed. And then you'll marry her. That's how my people repay life debts. Marriage or shared life bond. Whoa. I didn't sign up for that. She tilted her head. But you saved me. That means fate chose you. No offense, kid, but fate's had a bad track record with me. Pixel frowned. Is it because you're lonely? Caleb looked away. You sure talk a lot for a stowaway. I'm not a stowaway. I'm a sacred match messenger. He couldn't help the short laugh that escaped him. Of course you are. As they traveled toward the nearest warp corridor, Caleb couldn't shake the growing sense that he'd just become part of something far weirder than a simple rescue op. The girl, Pixel, was intelligent, self-assured, and definitely alien. But she looked at him like he was already family. And deep down, under the tired jokes and worn armor he wore like skin, Caleb felt a flicker of something dangerous. Hope. He hated that. Pixel beamed at him again. You're going to love Mom. Caleb sighed, staring at the stars ahead. Stars help me, he muttered. I think I might. The planet of politeness and panic. Caleb stood at the edge of the docking ramp, arms crossed, trying not to sweat. The June bug had just landed at Lurakesh Prime Port, a gleaming half-organic structure nestled within a forest of towering spiral trees. The planet's atmosphere was thick with fragrant pollen and ambient bioluminescence that glowed gently in the twilight. Everything smelled faintly of citrus and alien blossoms. Beside him, Pixel Tri bounced on her feet, antennae vibrating with excitement. Wait until you see Mom. She has 15 honorary diplomacy rings and a perfect empathy rating. Caleb wasn't sure what that meant, but he had the vague feeling he was being introduced to royalty. A group of tall, elegant aliens approached, their robes woven from living fibers that shifted color with their body language. At the center stood a female Tlani with posture like a queen and eyes sharp as crystal blades. Relani Tri, ambassador of the Second Accord. She locked eyes with Caleb, her gaze intense but curious. "Human," she said, her voice layered and musical. "You return my daughter to me. I owe you a life debt." Caleb raised both hands. "Look, about that, I didn't exactly know what I was getting into. No need for formalities. Just glad she's safe." The Tlani delegation gasped softly in unison. Relani's head tilted slightly. "Refusing ritual acknowledgement after accepting sacred duty is unorthodox," she said carefully. "You are aware she declared a family match pact, yes?" Pixel beamed. "I told him already. He's the one." Caleb gave a tight smile. "Yeah, she might have skipped a few steps explaining what that actually means." Relani folded her arms with a soft rustle of silk. In Tlani tradition, a child may initiate a match pact on behalf of a widowed parent if they believe a suitable partner has been found. And that's legally binding? It is diplomatically binding, unless respectfully declined through ceremonial courtship trial. Ceremonial what now? Relani turned to the delegation and said something in the Tlani tongue. A few murmurs, nods, and one sympathetic look later, she turned back to him. "In simpler terms, to avoid offense or political fallout, you must engage in 3 days of cultural compatibility rituals, after which you may either choose to accept the bond or depart in peace." Caleb gave Pixie a sideways glance. "Is there a just friends option?" Pixel shook her head solemnly. "Nope." The Tlani Consulate Dome was more like a palace than a government building. Part living architecture, part cathedral. Caleb was given guest quarters that looked like a botanical garden crossed with a meditation spa. A small floating orb followed him around, projecting helpful etiquette reminders. Do not compliment a Tlani's eyes unless you intend to court them. Do not gesture with both hands unless offering an emotional vow. Do not refuse bioluminescent tea. It is sacred and mildly psychoactive. He was beginning to suspect the Tlani didn't do casual interactions. That night, he met with Relani in the Chamber of Resonance, a circular hall glowing with bioluminescent threads that responded to mood and sound. She wore a new robe, this one deep violet with silver threading. Her expression was unreadable. "The first trial is empathic reflection," she said calmly. "You must answer my questions with complete honesty. The threads will respond. Your daughter's already asked me if I'm single. Can we top that?" Relani's lips twitched. Almost a smile. She asked simple things at first. His profession, his age, his favorite kind of weather. The threads glowed blue with his sincerity. Then she asked, "Have you ever been in love?" The threads dimmed. Caleb sighed. "Yeah, once. It ended badly. Do you still carry pain from it?" "Yeah, I guess I do." The threads brightened again, soft gold. She tilted her head. "Pain that lingers is pain that shaped us. The Tlani do not fear it." Caleb hesitated. "You talk about emotions like tools. We honor them. Yours run deep." They sat in silence for a while. The threads shimmered between them like an aurora. Finally, she said, "Pixel has chosen you not for your charm, but because she sensed you were kind. She rarely speaks unless she believes the words are true." Caleb nodded slowly. "She's a good kid. She lost her father before she was born. He was human too." Caleb looked at her, startled. "Dr. Aaron Shepard," she said softly. "He was assigned here during the first exchange. We loved each other, but war recalled him. He never returned." The air thickened. "I never wanted her to carry the burden of hope," Relani whispered. Caleb's voice came quiet. She's not burdened. She's brave. Maybe a little pushy. Rilani finally smiled, small and genuine. Then tomorrow, she said, standing, you begin the trial of intuition. And after that, she paused at the threshold. You may still refuse. But know this. If you leave, you will not only reject me, but deny my daughter's deepest belief, that kindness should be rewarded with belonging. Caleb swallowed. Pixel's words echoed in his mind. You're the one. He wasn't so sure, but something in him, long dormant, whispered, maybe, trials of the heart and stomach. Morning came far too early on Lurikesh. Caleb stood in a white robe, awkward and sleep-deprived, inside a courtyard made of living stone that pulsed gently beneath his bare feet. Above him, the twin suns cast soft light through enormous translucent leaves. Dozens of Tlani observers watched in polite silence, their expressions unreadable. Rilani Tri entered from the opposite archway, her robe shimmering with soft blue patterns. She carried a bowl filled with iridescent fruits and thin slices of what looked like jellyfish arranged on leaf plates. The ritual of temperance begins with sympathetic sharing, she said. We consume emotional foods, each one representing a feeling. You must identify your responses honestly. Caleb's brow furrowed. You're telling me your food makes you feel things? Rilani nodded. Plani cuisine is biochemical. It resonates with memory and emotion. This is how we connect with each other. Language is often insufficient. She offered the first sample, something small and violet, wrapped in a translucent skin. Caleb took it, sniffed it, then popped it in his mouth. A rush hit him like a memory, sitting at a campfire as a boy, listening to his father laugh. The warmth, the safety, it bloomed in his chest, and a lump rose in his throat. That's, he swallowed. Joy. Correct, Rilani said, and the crowd murmured softly. One by one, she gave him more, bitterness that reminded him of a lover's goodbye, sweetness tangled with regret, a tartness that made him think of standing alone in space watching a dying star. Each time, he answered honestly. You are attuned to your own emotional imprint, Rilani said after the final piece. Many cannot name what they feel. They bury it. Caleb exhaled, shaken. I'm not used to feeling this much before breakfast. Welcome to the heart of Tlani bonding. The next phase of the ritual took them into the garden of echoing memory, a living maze that responded to biofeedback. As they walked, walls of iridescent vines shifted around them, creating winding paths that bent according to their emotional tension. Pixel trailed behind them at a respectful distance. Rilani was silent for a time. Finally, she spoke. You have a mind trained by solitude. It shields you. Caleb gave a small snort. Occupational hazard. Does it serve you well? It keeps me from getting killed. But does it keep you alive? He hesitated. That depends on your definition. She touched a vine, and it rippled outward in a pattern that reminded him of breathing. My late mate, Aaron, used to say humans were like stars, bright, distant, and slow to burn out. But when they love, they make constellations. Caleb looked at her sidelong. Sounds like a romantic. He was, and I wasn't. Until him. They walked in silence for a moment longer, the maze gently adjusting to allow their passage. I didn't ask for this, Caleb said finally. I didn't wake up and think, today I'll be drafted into an alien courtship ritual because I happen to help a lost kid. No, she agreed. But Pixel chose you, and she chose for a reason. Caleb looked over his shoulder. The girl was crouched by a flower, poking at it and humming. It glowed brighter when she touched it. She's a good kid, he said. She believes you're capable of building more than you destroy. That's rare among our kind, or yours. He stopped walking. What if I don't know how to be what she thinks I am? Rilani turned to face him. Then we will find out. Together. Or you may walk away. That, too, is honored. But you must be true. He nodded, unsure of what he was agreeing to, only that it was something bigger than himself. That night, Caleb lay back on the soft-woven bed of his guest chamber. The lights dimmed to a gentle blue. A soft ping from the ceiling signaled an incoming message. Pixel Try. Did Mom make you eat the true fruits? Did you cry? I cried my first time. Caleb smiled. Caleb, I didn't cry. but I almost choked on guilt. Pixel, try. That's a good start. He set the message pad down. This planet, these people, this ritual. It was ridiculous. It was overwhelming. And yet, something inside him had shifted. A crack in the armor. A small light in a room he thought he'd sealed shut. He wasn't sure what tomorrow's trial would bring. But he wasn't sure he wanted to run anymore. A choice worth making. Caleb stood before the pool of threads, the final trial site. The surface of the water shimmered like molten glass, reflecting not the sky, but memories. Tawny elders formed a circle around the platform, watching with ceremonial stillness. Rilani Tri waited at the edge of the pool, hands clasped, expression serene. Behind her, Pixel stood quietly, unusually solemn. "This is the final ritual," Rilani said. "It is called thread weaving. If you enter the pool and share memory with me, it binds us. Emotionally, temporally." Caleb looked at the glowing surface. "You mean you'll see my memories? And you will see mine," she said. "Completely. No filters. No lies. No shields," she agreed. He took a breath. "What if I don't like what I see? Then we part as equals. And walk away clean." Pixel stepped forward, holding out a woven cord. "But if you do, you'll be part of something. For real. Not just drifting anymore." Her eyes held no pleading, just belief. Caleb had never realized how heavy that could feel until now. He looked at the pool again. Memory sharing with an alien diplomat was never on his bucket list. But loneliness had carved out something inside him over the years, something that her kindness and Pixel's innocent matchmaking had begun to fill. Without another word, he stepped onto the edge and waded in. The water wrapped around him like silk. It wasn't cold or warm, it was intimate. A sensation of touch without contact, of thought without sound. Images flared around him. A younger Rilani, laughing with Aaron Shepard under twin moons, their hands entwined. Rilani alone in the birthing nest, tears in her eyes as she felt Pixel's heartbeat for the first time. Her silent vigils, staring at stars she knew he would never return from. Then, his own memories unspooled. A childhood on Mars Station, filled with quiet nights and mechanical noise. The moment his father's pod failed re-entry. The day his mother stopped answering his calls. Years of contracts, of making enough to get by, of never staying too long anywhere, of surviving but never belonging. Then, Pixel, that stubborn, earnest little alien girl holding onto his coat in a dust-blown bar. Her certainty, her belief in him, a stranger. The pool pulsed, and then it was gone. He opened his eyes. Rilani stood across from him, breathing heavily, her eyes shimmering with emotion. "You carry grief like armor," she said quietly, "but you love deeply. Even now." "I forgot what that felt like," Caleb admitted. They stepped from the pool. No applause, just silence and understanding. "Then you must choose," Rilani said. "Will you accept the match bond?" The formal tone returned. The elders awaited his answer. Caleb looked at her, not at the robes or the alien customs or the complicated future, just her, the woman who had dared to hope again, the child who saw him not as broken, but needed. He exhaled. "I will." Pixel squealed. "Yes. I told you. I told you he'd say yes." A ripple of soft music played from the surrounding elders. Threads of color rose from the pool and wove themselves into a floating spiral above them, a symbol of unity. Rilani stepped forward, offering her hand. Caleb took it. "You understand what this means?" she asked gently. "Not fully," he admitted, "but maybe that's the point. I want to learn." She smiled, and it was the kind of smile that didn't fade quickly. "Then we'll learn together." That evening, the stars above Lurakesh shimmered like scattered embers. The bonding ceremony was private, quiet, just Caleb, Rilani, Pixel, and the warm glow of 1,000 bioluminescent petals. Pixel had taken to calling him Dad 2.0. He hadn't corrected her. As the family, his new family, sat beneath the glowing trees, Caleb realized he hadn't felt this at ease in years. Maybe decades. Not because the pain was gone, but because he wasn't carrying it alone anymore. He leaned back, looked up, and smiled. "Human," Pixel whispered dramatically, resting her head on his shoulder, "you are officially not single." He chuckled. Guess I've been abducted by feelings. Rolani smirked. We prefer to call it interspecies diplomacy. And under the alien stars, Caleb finally belonged.